And we are live. Man, it's a good time to be back with these boys. It's the Grindtime podcast. Big shout out to Spread the Positive. My boy Trent over here putting this on today for us and helping us out. I got my boy right here, Mr. Tylor, Mr. Ambitious himself, does it all. Fresh coat, paint, whatever you need. He's the guy to holler at. He's another old soul like me, bro. Welcome to the show.
Man, it's honestly an honor to be here.
Oh, yeah. I had to get you on here, man. There's no way starting out the first season of this and not having you on here.
And the name, I'm impressed.
Oh, yeah. We got this all thought out.
My little flower's blossoming. I love it.
Just wait till we get everything else going and it'll all just fall in the line and fall under the umbrella.
I love it.
Most definitely, man. So, we met a couple years ago.
A little bit more than that. But.
Yeah. I mean, now it is. Yeah. You put it that way. We've been doing this thing for a moment and all that. And it's just like we started here. Like one of our first podcasts. So I think I did was with you here.
Yeah.
I just ran the message here.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, can I come through? Yeah, come on. All right, I'll pull up.
That was the Creating Ambition podcast day. So that was, all these years run together.
Exactly, same.
You have kids and businesses and stuff, and it all runs together. But it was a while ago for sure.
Yeah, it was a great time though. I enjoyed it. It was just like today, me just ripping and running with my head cut off, trying to get my weights done, showered, and up here in time.
Yeah,
it just felt like old times again. So I really enjoyed that part of this morning. Like it brought me back.
Yeah, just chaos in itself. It's
most
beautiful.
definitely.
It's beautiful.
So. You want to let the people know, backstory, how'd you get here?
Man, yeah, so basically how we met about 8 years ago, I started Ambition Threads, a motivating lifestyle clothing brand. We met, we were doing just pop-ups at every gym you could imagine and running wild. We met, you were like, man, love to help out. And I was like, well, I can't pay you. And you were like, cool. And I was like, all right, he's sold. He's in,
Right.
No,
I was like,
I started the brand 8 years ago. Actually got, I don't know the right way to say this. This past May, my business partner, Ryan, and I, we got done with it. Just felt like the season was over and it was time on to the next thing. So got done with that. It was the best times of my life. I look back on it and I'm like, man, I the things I learned, the trials, all the fun stuff, like all the great people, this room included.
Most definitely.
It was something that I'll cherish till the day I die. And I still wear it every day.
Same.
I have some portion of it to where I'm like, man, I just love this shirt, So we were definitely onto something.
All the time. I get happy and see it all the time.
Yeah.
It's just like the last drop. I still have the box and everything else. I haven't even opened the shirt.
Bro.
I have not opened the shirt because it just means so much to me. And I knew behind the scenes and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm just not opening it. It's staying here and everything else. So if anybody ever comes over, they'll see it.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's a shirt in that.
Yeah, dude,
shocked.
That was probably, it was kind of weird how it all worked. That was one of our most worked on drops, because we were always just running and gunning and moving so fast. And that was one thing Ryan actually came up with that idea. Was like, dude, we should let's make a cereal. And I was like, okay, let's not make a cereal. That's crazy. And he was like, yeah, but we could put a shirt in it. And I was like, dang, that's holy crap.
Yeah, I was so happy
we
when I started
literally
seeing those.
It took us a year and a half to boxes and the shirt design, all of that stuff. And it wasn't as a successful drop as we wanted it to be. As I'm sure every time you the more work you put in, it seems like, oh my God.
It doesn't work out. The less you put in, it's just why is this one blowing up?
I'll just make a short and everybody will love it. No marketing behind it. With that one, dude, we had so much fun, man. We were going to Kroger and sneaking cereal boxes in there. And people were like, oh, is it a cereal? And we were like, it's a shirt. You can't eat it, but it's kind of sick, Right. But it's so funny. In my toolbox in my house, I have a drawer full of them. Ryan and I still have tons of those boxes.
Nice.
And I just every time you open the drawer, you're like, man, those are it's still to this day, the brand didn't reach the heights that I wanted it to, from a financial standpoint or anything like that. But as far as the impact goes, it still makes me feel oh my gosh, we were on to something, man.
Yes, most definitely.
So many brands dropped so many things, and it was still to this day is one of those most unique it was just rad. Man.
If you were over here, you knew. If you were in this area, you knew about the drop and everything else. You might have got one, you might not have, but you saw it. And it was popping. Like, I really enjoyed it and definitely wanted to do something like that. I'm like, I got to holler at them about this.
Listen,
like,
I got some cereal boxes. I got about 400 more, but they got the wrong name on them.
It's all good.
Dude, we can make some stickers.
I got an idea for that, because there's still one drop I wanted us to do that we never got to do.
I know. Well, it's honestly, like, it's so weird to even say this, but like, it's almost like passing a torch in a way with you, because like you were, I mean, gosh, you want to look at it brass bones, like you're a competitor. I mean, we're both in the same space doing the same thing. And we obviously never saw it that way. We were like, high tide rises all ships.
Exactly.
But I would expect you to do something cooler than that, because you got the brain for it. You always have. Ever since we've been doing the trade shows and doing all that stuff, it was like, man, this guy knows what he's. This guy knows,
I've been back watching and everything else, and it's like it's really starting to pay off. And it's like so many ideas me and G have talked about, some of the athletes, and I'm like, look, hey, I got an idea for this. Give it some more time though, so we can get things more worked out. And I'm like, once it all lines up, you'll see why I waited so long to do it, even though you wanted it so bad. But I got ideas for that, and definitely have you back out there, in the scene every now and then. We got to bring you back. It's got to happen.
I don't know. It's like I said, man. It was such a pivotal. I'd say this now, like in full confidence, but like it made me a man. Like I got to learn more about myself and more about just who I need to put my trust in, and like it just taught me so much. And then the relationships, dude, like I got family from that industry, still to this day. I still try to keep tabs. Like I've been, we were just talking off mic, but like I've been off the radar and just kind of doing our own thing,
Most definitely.
We're back to the grind season,
It's just hard work done in the dark, and that's what you're in right now. It's like, y'all can try to find me, but you ain't gonna find me on the socials. I'm actually doing the work and hitting the ground running. And I'm like, I get that 1,000%, because that's what this is right now. It's like, dude, we're knocking a whole bunch of new things out. Like I'm working on getting my personal trainer's license now.
Let's go.
Working with a whole high school football team and stuff like that. Like I'm really out here, but it's like, it's nothing I'm posting about. Like there's no reason to put it out there like that. I'm like, let me just hit the ground running, and the people that know and see it will see it. And when it's time, it will be shown. And I'm like slowly getting to that point where it's starting to be seen out and about.
It takes a while, man. It's again, like with ambition, I didn't have time to look at the impact, because you're in the middle of it, and like looking back on it now, it's like I still see it, like going to the gym, or me and Ryan still to this day. I mean, we talk every day, and he and I are like, bro, we could just sit there strategizing this, and we're like, oh yeah, wait, we don't have it, so let's calm down. But it's like it's so ingrained. But yeah, that's kind of the story. I mean, basically the story. I mean, we can elaborate as deep as you want. I mean, I got successes and failures lining up.
We can get into some of those. We can definitely get some of those.
About 8 years of that, and like I said, this past May, we had a couple people interested in purchasing the company. Some kind of things fell through, partly because I didn't know how to properly run a business, and I could say that with full confidence, because failures like that only make you learn. Well, they should make you learn.
It's not a loss, it's a lesson.
It's a lesson. And it was a big lesson. It was a hurtful lesson, but it was something that, again, it was just so rad. It was like, man, it had been sweet, poetic justice to sell it and get done with it, and just, see someone else grow it. But it was like, hey, it ran its course. And now I have a painting business, an interior, exterior painting business that we started from the ground up there. It's also, I mean, it's got its own levels and devils, but it's where I want to be, man. It's awesome.
I'm happy for you. No, I enjoy it, and everything else is like watching that with the change and everything I've seen, just watching from the outside. And I've really, anything you touch is going to have. It's like it's that thing. It's just one of those things. It's like anybody, anywhere I go and stuff like that, I still see it out and about everywhere too. And I'm just like, man, I hate it. I hate it that you ain't still around. But I mean, it's all about the different seasons, like you said earlier. Like that was one season of your life that you really enjoyed, and you can still.
It's kind of like college. Ryan and I talk about it too, but it was kind of like college. It's like, you never really regret going to college. But it was one of those, like, it's the most fun and the most learning and the most this and that. And then now, like, once you're done with it, it's like, I'm out. I'm in the real world. And not that it wasn't the real world, but it was, it's very similar to kind of that experience. And I didn't even go to college. So glad I got to experience.
You didn't really miss much. You didn't. I did. I did my 4 years,
I heard.
and I was ready to get up out of there all the time. But I mean, I didn't truly do all the full experiences. Like, I wasn't part of no frats or anything like that. Same. But I did 2 years at Motlow, then MTSU. So it was like, why do it now? I'm like, I'm almost done. I'm ready to get up out of here. I got everything I need in a line. Like, we're out of here. I did. But I'll say, like, originally, like, starting out, like, the whole ambition to lead and everything else, and it's like everybody else was like not showing up to it. I'm like, I want to show up just to get those experiences, be out here at these gyms, meet the owners, meet the people that go there, and actually like build the ground up so they actually recognize me in one thing. But I never saw this competition either. It's like, Tyler's my boy. And it's like, I know if he's here and I'm here, it's gonna be a great time. 100%. So we're gonna have everybody hyped up, having fun, and everybody will have a good time when we're in the room. I was like,
that was my favorite thing mostly about that industry. You know, it's pretty, you know, the deeper you get into business, it's cutthroat. I mean, it's, you know, everybody's trying to make a dollar and all that. But that was my one kind of love for that, was like, even all the apparel owners, like, I either had a decent relationship with them where I can handshake them and we can talk, or it was you, Joe Adams, like the Charles, all, like, those were my, we were kicking it.
Right. We were talking to each other behind the scenes, like, I ain't doing too hot or something like that. Like, you could call them about anything, because it's like we all understood what we were going through.
Absolutely.
And that was the best part. And that's like, I really enjoy it. Like, sitting down, at some point I'm gonna get Joe on here. We're gonna have a talk with him too, and stuff like that. That's
where the most success comes from, is that, you know, everybody going through the suck together, it ends up being all right. You know?
It doesn't suck as much because we're all going through it. And it's just like
working out, man. It's like, hey, it's cool working out by yourself, but me and my boy over here benching, and we both are out here struggling. It's like, hey, we can get through this a little harder if you want to.
Right.
You know?
It's like all my boys have started to tap back in our group chat, and I'm like, I feel like we're in high school again, because all of us are tapping in, sending food, our little micros of this and that. Hey, try this out and stuff like that again. And it's just like, this brings back old times. This is how we used to be, and it helps build each other up. Like, we're getting to that point on Fridays, we work out together and stuff like that. And it's just like, I've missed this. The last couple of years I've missed it, because most of the time it's just work out by myself. If I pull up over here, I'm here to shoot, get in and out and stuff like that. And I'm like, I miss it. I miss it. I've always had like somebody working out with me and stuff like that. And now slowly it's coming back. And I'm like, all right, now I remember why I enjoy it. But the waiting around on people and stuff like that and moving all the weights, I'm like, this sucks, but
it's sick.
Exactly.
Couldn't agree more. Man.
So we'll move on to the painting and everything else. Like, so how's that been? You know, like
it was. I'd like to say it was a tough transition, but it wasn't, man. I feel God has called me to be an entrepreneur. You know, even when I was starting Ambition, I was always want my hand in everything, man. So. It's been great, man. I have a great team. We've got a great just a great thing going. It's mainly in the Middle Tennessee area, so it's you've shrunk that net a little bit, you know, online sales and e-commerce and stuff. You're trying to, you know, throw out the biggest net and get, you know,
the many
everything
people
you can.
everywhere, go everywhere.
And it's helped me hone in on a lot of things that I feel like I needed to work on as a business person and an entrepreneur, because, you know, there's just things that I've realized that being an entrepreneur, there's two types of entrepreneurs. There's an entrepreneur that owns a job, and then there's an entrepreneur that owns a business. And I'm leaning into the business owner versus having a job. Like, it's a hard transition, but painting and ambition and just everything that's led me here, man, it's made it a smoother transition. You know, I miss it. You know, I miss going out and talking and all that, but I get my own, I get what ambition and that industry gave me. I get that in the painting industry. It's just a little bit different, you know. I can
definitely see that, because I mean, that's like me and washing cars. Like, I enjoy it and everything else. It's not the exact same like being in the weight rooms, but like being out there and just, you know, just doing my thing real quick and all that, and then seeing people's faces, just like, Yep, it was all worth it. It sucked for a little bit, and half the time it's like you never know what you're about to get into and stuff like that. I've made mistakes and I've learned from those mistakes, but so much has been from just washing cars and stuff like that. And people are just like, yeah, I just do it for fun mostly. I don't promote it or nothing like that. Like I just
pay the bills and rock and roll. Yeah, it was a weird kind of thing, you know, because I had started it just doing it on my own. You know, I started with my uncle's company back when I first started Ambition. And it was paying for Ambition. It was paying for my life, and got out of that. COVID hit, slowed everything down, you know. And then while Ambition was kind of building itself right back up, you know, I started painting on the side. Went back to work for my uncle for a little bit, and I was like, dude, you know, I felt God calling me. He was like, dude, you're an entrepreneur. Like, if you want to do your own thing, do your own thing. If you want to be with the big dogs, I'll lead you, and you let me, and I'll rock and roll. So started it on my own, and I was like, man, I don't want to. I hated painting. I hated getting paint on me. I hated getting paint in my hair because you know me, I'm a little bit of a pretty boy.
Oh yeah, just a tad bit.
You know, caring about that gel and stuff. But I hated it, and then just found the love in not just, you know, obviously business is a huge passion of mine, but I just found the love in the grit and what the trades offered. So as we kind of, you know, leaving out of the Ambition world and getting into painting more, the more I got to research that, you know, trades businesses are on a huge decline because of social media and e-commerce and things like that. So there's, from a business standpoint, it's genius because it's wide open.
It definitely is, because everybody wants to be on socials, do this and that and everything else. And I'm just like, it's not where it's really at, guys.
Most first generation businesses are being dissolved at a crazy rate because they don't have anybody to hand it down to. So a lot of these trades businesses are kind of blossoming out of nowhere because people are seeing the need for it. So it was like, well, that's kind of interesting. So I dove in on the business side of it, which then made me tighten up my labor skills and learn to love it, you know, and that was the hardest part for me because I was wrestling with God of, no, I'm a clothing entrepreneur and a brand, and God's like laughing at me because he's like, listen,
you just don't know.
You are good at these things, but let me show you where I can put you where you can make the most impact.
A whole different field of something different. It's just like, you can still do the exact same things. It's just going to be a whole different thing.
It's completely, and even though it's so similar, it is so different because now I'm like, you know, looking at what I could do different that most painting businesses do. You know, most painting businesses don't have merch lines. Okay, well, I know how to do that.
Right.
I've messed that up so much that I can make some cool merch and figure that out.
Run that. I'm going to need a couple shirts. So like, you know.
You already know. Stay fresh. You know? There's a lot of stuff to it that I've learned to love. But yeah, the trades business, I love it. I've grown to love it over the years, and even though I still get a little fiery red mad when I get paint in my hair, it's I know the
bound
bigger
to happen
purpose for it. So
and it's always good to be able to work with your hands and do stuff. And I'm like, I've always been the one that's like, no, I'm not going to pay for it. I want to learn how to do it.
Yes.
And I'll watch you if I need to watch you. I'll help. Whatever it takes, and everything else is like working on my car, doing stuff around the house. Like even my own room. I painted my own room. I learned how to do all that. Patched a hole in my wall and stuff like that. I mean, hey, I might talk to you afterwards. you know how it works. You just last minute call. I'm on the way. I'll let you know real quick.
Yeah, but it's been great, man. It's like I said, it took a while to build a team. But you know just as well as I do, it's the same thing I used to preach with Ambition. You only go as far as your team with you goes. It's
facts,
and that's like. That's been the hardest part, you know, having, I don't like calling them employees because I work right there next to them. You know,
exactly.
I
felt that
all day, every day. And I've said that that's one thing that I do think that I've held true is like, I don't put myself as a boss or nothing like that because I got good ideas just like the rest of us, but how you implement and make it work, like the team makes it work. They always say it takes a village to raise a kid. That's the most true thing ever. And if you're treating a business like a kid, it takes a whole village to raise that thing. So
I can say I got like 5-6 different moms that I call mom and everything 100%. Else besides my mother. Like,
outside
and it's like so many is like take care of me all the time and stuff like that. Like I see like 3 different ones on Sundays. Normally it's like one here, one there, and everything else. And it's just like all the time. I'm like, I can go to their place and stuff like that. just how it is, and I've always been that way. And I felt that too, because I like, even when a lot of the athletes, and even hate calling them just like athletes and stuff in my business, and they'll call me boss man and stuff like this. I'm like, no, just call me Matt. Yeah, it's cool. Like, don't think I'm nothing special. I've been doing this for a while. That's the only reason why I know all these things. I trial and error a lot of these things, or pick up a camera. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing with this camera. The camera's doing most of the work.
The difference is taking the step, you know, and it's not a slight at people, because taking the step's the hardest part. You know,
most definitely.
And anything like that. When you're building something, taking the first step, or any step to that matter, and that is so hard. But yeah, there's a reason they talk about humility in the Bible so much. It's because it's something that you're supposed to understand that you need to have. That's why being a boss versus being a leader, most bosses don't gain the success a leader does. You know?
And that was like one of our church, we dropped a shirt and everything else. To be a good leader, you have to be a servant. And I'm like, that's always how it's been. It's like, I'm always out here. It's like all the athletes, when I had the camera and stuff, I was going to shoot them and everything else. I don't wear it. No, if you just rock the shirt and everything else, sometimes here and there and stuff like that, I'll get some content. You can wear whatever you want. I'm going to shoot it and everything else. But it's like, at the end of the day, me shooting this content for you helps both of us. That's how I've always looked at it.
As much as you are, that's that's success. You know, money comes and goes. It's to be completely honest, I'm not a millionaire yet, hopefully. right. But
same.
Making money is relatively easy in the scheme of things. But it's more about what you can. The true rich wealth, whatever you want to call it, is helping other people, because you'll never feel better about yourself or about the world than just going out chasing money. Because money, I get it, it's a necessity. Everybody needs it. Don't get me wrong, I would love to have a lot of it, but
we can right back to the Bible. It says the love of money. That's where the root of the evil starts. I could die today and go to heaven a wealthy man from and just have a couple $100 in my pocket. Exactly. I felt that, because it's me the same way. It's like everybody else talking about, I got to go out and do this, make this money and stuff. And I'm like, Matt, you getting paid for that? I'm like, no. Why? It's not about the money. It's like, at the end of the day, I'm like, I know if I call this person and I need something like that, they got me. And I'm like, that's a better feeling than having all the money and everything else. And then you got to watch your back and all this.
I'm out on that.
No, I'm like, I'm good. That is not the life you want to live, guys.
I'm not living that life no more. Okay? Yeah. That's out
Facts. Here. Yeah. I'm like, I can pull up anywhere and I'm good. I know I'm going to know people there and everything else.
My pillow is super soft.
Facts. But like that's literally how I ended up with the camera. It was like helping in the church. Randomly, my pastor was like, "Hey, you think you can shoot reels for us and stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And what was funny was me and my boy Jacob, maybe a month beforehand, was talking about, "Hey, Matt, if you want to get a camera, get this camera." We walk into his office and it's the exact same camera. And I was like, I knew this is God here lining these things up. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm not worried about making money with this camera, because I'm like, I knew what this was. And it's to me an opportunity to get out here and experience stuff. And with that experience is like, I got to get with Ruck. And I was like, me just taking that leap and everything else and showing up when nobody else would. And I got to go to the Arnold and shoot all that behind the scenes. And
that's
it's like
the glorious part, man. It's taking the step. Like it opens the doors. You know?
Yeah, something so small.
If you're ready to learn, like be a sponge, that's one thing that's your superpower. You are a sponge when it comes to all that, because you're in the right room at the right time. And a lot of people find themselves in the right room at the right time. But they don't know. No,
they want to talk. They want to. They don't want to be the one that listens. I'm like, I've always said, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen more.
There's a reason for it.
Just listen.
You never know that the hard way. Okay, no, I'm just kidding.
You never know what you'll pick up and everything else.
Never. So I love that.
Most definitely. And then I want to wrap it back when I said something about, last minute calls and stuff, like your wedding. That was hilarious. Hey, that was, you couldn't make that up.
Funny.
You could not.
Dude, that was the craziest. I try not to. It all runs together. Yeah. That was so crazy. Yeah. So the story for that was Henry. Shout out to Henry and Big Dave. God, the boys. We hired Henry to shoot our wedding, and Kelsey, shout out to Kelsey, was the photographer, needed a second shooter, didn't find out till the day of. He was like, oh man, cool, I got a second shooter, no problem, because we were out searching for it, all this stuff. In walks Big Matt Johnson, and I was like, this is kind of crazy. How are you?
Yeah, you just didn't know. Hey, I can pick it up.
It was, and it turned out killer. I mean,
it's like, as soon as Henry told me it was yours, I was like, I gotta be here because it's gonna be priceless. The moment I walk in, don't say nothing.
Yeah, nobody said anything. I was like, oh, I know him.
I was like, y'all thought y'all was gonna do this without me?
Yeah. Literally, yeah. And I'm gonna be completely honest. It's totally gapped all that. So I didn't look. Me and the wife did not look at that stuff until like 6 weeks after the wedding, because it was just like there was so much
going on. Yeah,
so much going on. Yeah, but it was beautiful. But yeah, that's kind of our relationship in a nutshell. It's a last minute phone call and there's Matt.
Yep. Just pull it up and just like,
pretty funny to think about.
It is. And I'm like, that's what I always say. I'm like, I'd rather it be this way than anything else. Cause it's like, no, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, I'll pull up. Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah. Times have changed. I got here 30 minutes early.
I know. It was shocking. I was a little late and everything else. I'm like, what is this? He's here.
You're sitting there. Yeah. You're sitting there thinking, I know he's late, so I can be a little late. And then
maybe a couple minutes. I done got hit by every light. There's no way he's there. I'm here. What? He has changed. Look at him.
Look at him. Yeah, it's beautiful. It really is. I love it. I'm proud of you, man. I enjoy the little time I spend on social now. I enjoy seeing you grow it. It's a tough road, man.
It definitely is.
I will be there all the time.
Most definitely. And there's going to be more calls like this, and out of the blue, just hey, I need you, bro. Like,
we're shooting a video in 30 minutes. All right, cool. I'll try it. Yeah.
Definitely have to do stuff like it.
I love it.
Because it's like I enjoy it. Me, G, we've done a lot, and him doing shows this past year and everything else. And it's like, all right, it's time for me to start stepping back and start passing stuff off to people. And it's like, I've got the team now and all these people that want to do these things. And I'm like, let me get a couple more things in a line. I'm like, let me get this podcast stuff started. Let me get out here so people can hear and see what's really going on. And I can just bring people on that's helped me along this road, because there's so many people that's like, oh yeah, y'all see me, but you don't see the team that's been behind me, helping me throughout everything. Like,
that's the name of the game, man. Reach one, teach one. I love that.
Most definitely.
I love it.
And I'm definitely going to help a lot of the athletes learn a couple things and stuff like that. But it's like, man, I'm like, I don't know where I would have been without a lot of y'all. Like, I was out here lost and everything else. And it was just like, one picture from Dave rocking some Ambition merch, and that's all it took. I'm like, hey, what about him? He's like, good people. So I'm like, bet, run it.
Let's go.
And here I am.
Big Dave. My gosh.
Oh yeah, we got some stuff in the cooks.
I can't wait. Those guys are hustlers. That's the thing. We all attract each other. You know, it's like I said, you're going through the suck. You looking over at a sea full of people that's going through the same thing. It's so much more important to. Because
that's one thing. COVID and everything else was like, for us, one of the best times. If we would have known how long it was going to be, we would have dominated so much more and got so much more done. Like, we spent so much time in the studio cooking up ideas, working on stuff.
Yeah.
And if we would have like actually just known like it's going to be over a year, like, all right, let's just stay here for a week straight and actually go out and do stuff together instead of, we'll meet up like once, twice a week because I ain't got nothing else to do. And man,
I wish, this is unpopular opinion, I wish we had a COVID 3-month shutdown every year. I mean, like the work, not just from work, but like the family time that I got to have and all the other like just stuff that we were able to do. Probably, it was against the guidelines, but it was like cool. I mean,
it's only against them if you got caught. What do you mean?
Asking for forgiveness type thing. But it was. I think it was great for everybody. I think everybody had a great reset. Like it was awesome.
Most definitely, because I mean, it finally gave people breaks that needed breaks that could never get a break because of bills or this or that.
Just time to do things. Like we had so much time on our hands because we couldn't go anywhere. So it was like, hey, let's get crafty. Like that's probably a strong suit of mine, is getting a little crafty with not a lot going on. It's like, dude, I can make a mountain out of a molehill. Baby. Let's make this thing work. Yeah.
Most definitely. I felt
it was so cool, man. It was so
most definitely. But man, it's good catching up with you. Having you back out here, do things again.
It's grind time.
It is. It don't stop.
It don't
stop. It's whatever part of life you in. It could be something different. Here you are pivoting, and still out here on the grind.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
I love it, man. Most definitely. But I like to end this like, what is your major setback you thought at the time, but ended up being your biggest blessing?
Which one do you want me to start with?
You go at it. I've had a couple, like on meniscus, me walking out of FedEx, and then COVID happening. Several of them.
There's plenty of them. There's plenty of them. But the couple that are just fresh, top of mind, leaving Ambition was really difficult for me mentally.
Yeah. It was your baby.
It was my baby. It was, and I put from what I had at the time, the toolkit that I had at the time was everything that I put everything I had into that. Every extra dollar I had, like every extra hour I had, everything was into that business. And then meeting Ryan, fresh off Nashville Fit, and him joining, and like us just like, dude, it was my baby. It was, and his too. But leaving that was a really big setback mentally, just from, I had a lot of identity built in it. I had a lot of,
it was you.
It
was a part of
guy,
you.
And there was just so much to it. And it was it's still a long process of just trying to get through and navigate. Okay, you're bigger than one thing. You're not just one thing. So don't like put your identity in that, because that's, thank God. Thank God is all you could say.
1,000%.
So that was a really hard setback, but obviously looking back on it, it's like it was the best times of your life. You're only 30,
right?
You're not a 70-year-old cat.
We're still young, technically.
So you got plenty of time. And then man, what was so crazy about that whole setback was in that process of phasing out and phasing into something new. I lost 2 grandparents, my mom and my uncle, within a 2-year span. And it was just a lot of just chaos, man. And it was like, well, man, I'm losing everything. Why not? Now I'm losing my business. And it's like, the way I was looking at it was such a setback, but looking at where I am today and the trajectory we're going now, and just how I work now is so different than, it was a setback, but man, it was such a blessing. Every bit of it.
It was a setup.
It's a setup. It's so funny. Ambition taught me all of those motivational quotes. And I was really diving in on that, because I really think people need to hear things like that, and the things that I've said in the past, and all of that stuff, even though it's super cliche, it's so true. And I used to say the reason things are cliche is because they're true. And the setup for success, or the setback is a setup. You don't really know the things that are cliche until you go through them, and you're like, oh, I didn't lose, I just learned, or I didn't this, or I did that. They're cliche for a reason. So I think
just aha moments.
you know me, and I'm speaking with Trent too, but like y'all know me, like I will always find the light. I try to be the most positive person
Most definitely.
So I've always viewed setbacks as like, it's fine, man. Like every boxer gets hit in the mouth every single time. Like there's no fighter that's never been touched. There's no warrior that's been to war and doesn't have a scar from war, regardless. So it's like, I always look at those things as like, gosh, this is supposed to help you. Like Jeremiah 29:11 is my favorite verse, because it is, I know the plans for you. It's the plans to prosper and not to harm. So there's nothing in here of this earth that can hurt you. I've been broke. I've slept in my truck. You name it. Like I'm still here breathing for a reason. So, and listen, when I go, Lord willing, I'll be doing a lot better. Okay.
You got that right.
Because I could have all the financial success in the world. Heaven's going to be 10 times better than that, and probably even better than that. So
it's better than we can imagine.
You can't imagine. So I look at setbacks a lot differently, and kind of always have. It goes back to racing dirt bikes, and I've broken bones, had concussions. I've done all those things, and every time it feels like the whole world's crashing down on you, and even in the future when I have other problems, it's when my daughters get married, I'm going to be like, oh my God, my life's over. I'm old and fat and blah, blah, blah. Right. But it's like, it's
all a part of the journey.
It's a part of the journey, man. I have faith that God knows what he's doing, and he picked a crazy little fellow like me to keep moving. So I'm gonna do what he asks,
definitely.
and I'm gonna keep it rolling. So the setbacks, to answer you not long-winded. I've had plenty of setbacks. I could talk to you about financial setbacks. I could talk to you about mental setbacks.
We can definitely run all of those.
One thing I've learned as an entrepreneur, and I read this quote the other day that couldn't be more true. If you're not sitting in a room by yourself with your head in your hands, figuring out your next move, pulling your hair out, stressed out, you're not an entrepreneur. And I was like, if I had $1 for every moment I had for that, I'd already be a millionaire 2-3 times. So I'm doing something right. I hope,
most definitely.
I hope
Same,
people
man. Same.
that I've met look at me as a beacon of hope or inspiration, because that's all I really want to do. Is
I felt that.
you know, I don't do a lot of things great. I try to, but hopefully somebody's like, hey, if that guy can learn how to do it, I'm pretty sure I can.
That's how I feel about a lot of things. Like, you see me doing it, y'all can do it too.
Dude, if you see me doing it, especially the mode of business that I'm in now, doing math and measuring and systems and Excel spreadsheets, it sounds gross. It's not sexy. But if I can figure that out, you could literally run $1 billion company. And I'm speaking to like you personally and whomever else wants to hear this.
Oh, I know.
If I can figure math out, you could figure out how to be personable and
Guess
create
who love math?
relationships. You can figure out marketing and sales. You can figure this out, because I don't do math. I don't do math at all. I started this process and I had to call my wife 14 times in one day. That is no exaggeration. 14 times, because I was like, these numbers don't add up. She's like, you need to calm down. I'm like, you need to watch who you're talking to. I'm just kidding. But I literally called her like 14 times in one day because this stuff doesn't make sense. But if I can make it work, I legitimately think someone out there who's like, I can't do it. I'm like, actually, you can, because I learned Chinese, which is math, and here I am.
Well, I enjoy math. I just got to get back into it. And
I don't know of anyone that enjoys math.
That's definitely me. I was that guy.
I don't know, man.
It was my easiest subject. Like, events, algebra, and trig didn't show any work or anything like that in high school.
I'm gonna pray for you. I'm gonna pray so hard for you.
It was so easy. I enjoyed it. It was just, I could look at it and figure it out, and it was one of those things. It's God-given talent right there, and I'm just I enjoyed it.
People say that about brand and marketing. I see a brand and marketing how I mean, we were just joking offline about me going to work at FedEx, how I wouldn't fit in there because I could figure out the brand and be like, I know how I can make this so sick. And
I've been there, and yes, you could.
Yeah,
I know
see
for
that,
a fact you could.
But when it comes to systems and all that stuff, that's just the stage of life that I'm currently in, and I know I'm taking steps backwards to ensure that it all works properly. Because one thing I have learned, and this would be if you were warranting advice from a business owner to business owner, systems are everything. If you don't know your numbers and you can't do a system, you will not sustain a business. And that's like literally my 2025 goal is, how efficient can I run a business? And if I can run a business efficiently, I can do it twice. And if I can do it twice, I'm going to do it 3 times. And if it's 3, looks like 10's the goal. So
might as well.
Trent has a great picture on the wall of why not. It's the greatest question ever asked.
Yes.
Why not?
That's like us in the studio. What do we got to lose? That's literally, what do we have to lose?
God promises us suffering on this earth, but eternity in heaven. Nothing's going to hurt me on this earth. You could take my life today. That's
what I
fine.
tell people.
Honestly, I'm looking forward to it. I'm honestly looking forward to it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I can't wait to see him. But on this earth, if I have no worry of man and nothing can hurt me, I'm living the dream, man. I'm living the dream.
Definitely.
Nothing's going to stop you. The grind doesn't stop.
It sure don't. Never will.
This has been the greatest. I'm so glad this is what I come back to media for, because I've been making this plan. I've been off social for close to a year.
Yeah.
And I've been making this plan of like when I come back, how I come back. I'm like, do I vlog? Do I podcast again? Like all these things that I want to do, because I love this stuff. And we're gonna slowly start kind of going in effect in about February is when we have it locked in. And
that sounds perfect too, lining up with this.
What a great way to come back and just kind of dip my toe back in the pool
Get you
to be
back
on
out
the
here and show
grind.
people you still out here. I still know how to do this.
I
And I'm
know
like,
a little bit.
I always enjoy it. I'm like, I'll see a little post out of nowhere from Tyler. I'm like, hey, let's get this Monday started right.
I know enough to get hurt. That's for sure. And we'll ride that pony all the way to the house. You know?
Yes, sir.
I'm looking forward to it. And I want to say thank you for everything. I legitimately don't think Ambition would have gotten to where it was without you.
Most definitely.
You did a lot
I just
that I
took it
probably
in
should
and
have paid
soaked
you
in.
for. Luckily, if you knew anything about legalities and stuff, I should have paid you. You could have sued me. You wouldn't have got anything because I didn't have much either. But no, in all seriousness, like it's great to watch you because you're one of the very few that I do keep up with, try to on a daily basis, that is just plugging away. Like every time I talk to Charles, it's like we're all in the same mindset of like just plugging away, man, just doing what we can.
Just a little
And
bit
it's
here,
like,
a little bit
you're
there.
doing big moves, and it's like it's kind of big, but next is big, and I'm like, that's where you want to be.
Yep,
That's where you
exactly.
want to be. So
And
it's great, man.
I've enjoyed it, and I want to say thank you to you because I mean, the money would have been nice, but the experiences and everything else, all the merch I got and all that was worth it way more to me personally because it's like all the people I got to meet and everything else I got to be a part of that was a lot bigger than me, and that's what I enjoy the most.
Yeah, that's
everybody else is out here about the money and stuff like that.
It's not a price tag, man.
You can't put a price tag on it, and I rather have the experiences because at the end of the day, I know I can always call you and everything else at the end of the day. And that's a better feeling to me than any amount of money somebody can put a price tag on.
I'm get a guy crying out here.
It's all good. I am
Cry
too.
season podcast out here. Just gonna get a guy tearing up.
It's real out here.
It is, man. But it really you doing it with people you love is so much better. So much better. So I'd do it again.
1000%. Oh yeah.
Ambition 2.0.
Hey, you never know. You never know. But on that note, we're wrapping it up here, guys. I want to thank Tyler for having me. Shout out to Trent again for having us here at the
I didn't have you. You had me.
Yeah, I know. I'm just so used to it, you know.
I know it does.
You know me. You know,
I was
doing
like,
running
all right,
the reins.
folks, that's it. You know, I didn't want to chime
how
in.
it is, you know.
Yeah, I got a good tagline for everything.
I know, and I got to get used to running the show and everything else. I like being
You're
the guy
the
that just
boss
comes
man,
on.
baby.
You know,
You're the boss man.
I like playing my role and helping out. I don't like being the main star.
Thanks, Tyler, for having me. That's a good. Well, okay.
Most definitely.
Thanks, Tyler, for having me on my podcast.
You know, that's how it is. But
I love it.
You know, we'll definitely have to have you back on here down the road.
It'll
You
be my
know,
honor.
once everybody sees, and it's like I see why they get along and do so much together and had so much fun all the time and always spent so much time together.
Yeah,
but
we did.
With that said, and that being said, if you like the video, Hey,
Like
leave a
the
comment, tap in with us.
If you like it, that's rhetorical, Farley. Of course you did.
Most definitely. How could you not?
Did they say anything of value? Maybe 20%.
No,
That's not why we're here. I'm just kidding.
Exactly. God bless y'all.
Right. But most of the time, people don't really realize that. A lot of people are going to sleep. A lot of people. There's a lot to sleep on, right? Maybe. It's about time we start giving people wake-up calls. So guess what? This one will be the first wake-up call. It'll be the first wake-up call. Very much if you've been sleeping now, make sure that you're awake. You know what I'm saying? He'll make sure you're awake. He'll make sure you're awake. He'll make sure you're awake.